Good morning and welcome to the JMCSS podcast for the district. I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson-Madison County School System. Kristin Peachey is the system-wide pre-K consulting teacher, and Charlotte Wilson is the school counselor at NOVA PreK, and they'll join us this morning to discuss pre-K open enrollment and all the exciting things going on in our district in early childhood education. For the district, the JMCSS podcast is a production of the Jackson-Madison County School System in partnership with Forever Communications. You can listen to this episode on demand on Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Kristin, Charlotte, welcome to For the District.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's start off with a little bit of an introduction. Kristin, tell us about your role within the district.
So I'm the pre-K consulting teacher. That means that I work with pre-K classrooms and teachers, assistants in 11 schools in our district. We work together to make sure that classrooms have what they need, that students are enrolled, that we have that our program is running smoothly, and that we're meeting the needs for our 4-year-old and 3-year-old students.
Charlotte, same question. Tell us about your role as the school counselor at NOVA PreK.
My role entails pretty much making sure students have all the things that they need to be as efficient as they possibly can while they're there. It focuses on academics, social skills, and career readiness goals.
And so going a little bit off script, we've probably told you previously, if you've listened to our podcast, that Luke, our producer, is a JMCSS parent. And so we're going to continue this podcast, but we've agreed to continue under protest as we did not receive a Your Future is Bright t-shirt. I know you may be listening to this on the radio, but Kristin and Charlotte have on t-shirts says, Your Future is Bright. And working in early childhood education, tell us why the future is bright for early childhood education here in JMCSS.
We just have a great program where we serve a little over 700 students in our district. We are getting them off to a great start, ready for kindergarten. They have some access to literacy, learning about numbers, shapes, colors, but also we're playing in our classrooms with our purpose. We make sure students are learning through discovery and just really getting them ready to have a good experience with school, getting families involved, so everybody is ready for kindergarten, ready for elementary school.
Exactly. We help them to develop social skills, interacting in the community with different people, their peers, learning to share, take turns, things of that nature. So we have a great time in pre-K.
Awesome. And I really like those t-shirts.
Thanks.
Okay, Kristin, did you always know you wanted to work in education?
Absolutely. It's just a family tradition for me. My parents were both educators. My dad was a high school math teacher. My mom taught a long time. I shouldn't say how long. And even my grandmother was a teacher. So it's just always something I've known. It's always been in my heart. That's my passion.
Awesome. Charlotte, we were talking before the show, and you worked in healthcare prior to working in education. You worked
Correct.
with the elderly.
That's correct.
Tell us how that impacts the way you approach your job now that you're working with the district's tiniest, youngest students.
I have to look at it from two different perspectives. The geriatrics were needing things to basically be within their home and self-sufficient and more independent. But also when you look at 3 and 4-year-olds, they're learning those developmental skills as well to be self-sufficient and more independent. So when they come to pre-K, teaching them those skills and helping them to learn through play, helping to develop communication skills, and just being able to tie their shoes or zip their pants or button up a shirt. It helps them to understand these are the skills that you will need in life for the future.
Kristin Peachey is the system-wide pre-K consulting teacher for JMCSS, and Charlotte Wilson is the school counselor at NOVA PreK, and they're joining us for this episode of For the District. Open enrollment for pre-K begins in March. Kristin, tell us about Well, first of all, who in the community needs to pay attention of our pre-K open enrollment, and then talk about some of the steps involved in pre-K open enrollment.
Okay, so we are looking for students who turn 4 by August 15th of the current school year. So if your child turns 4 by August 15th, we would like for you to check out our program and find out some more information to see if that's a good fit. We have our registration process is a 2-part process. There's an online application, and that will open on March 1st. You'll see links for that on our JMCSS website. The second step, we have to have some documents turned in to make sure we have everything we need. So we'll host events later in March, April, and May for parents to come and turn in the child's birth certificate, shot record, and physical. We need 3 proofs of residence in Madison County, and we also need proof of income. Ms. Charlotte has a form to show us. We have a lot of questions about the shot record and physical, so we brought this form, and it's the State of Tennessee form. There's a spot at the top that a physician needs to sign. That's your physical that shows they've had a physical, and that's within 1 year of the school start date. And then the shot information is in the middle, and down at the bottom there will be a little check mark that says they're complete for preschool. So that's probably one of our biggest questions is, how do I turn that in? What form does that need to be on? And this is what we're looking for. It's the state form.
We're visiting with Kristin Peachey, system-wide pre-K consulting teacher, in Charlotte Wilson, the school counselor at NOVA PreK, and we'll make sure you'll have access to these documents at jmcss.org. So, Charlotte, there may be people listening that don't have 4-year-olds, but they have relatives that have 4-year-olds. So if you would, can you kind of speak to the importance of pre-K early childhood education in case there's a family member who needs to make, this appeal to a relative? The importance of early childhood education and this pre-K opportunity.
It is so important. We prepare students for kindergarten readiness, and it helps them to lay a foundation. They're learning sounds and letters and numbers and different things to learn to communicate, where they're developing those literacy skills, where they're getting ready to start to read and being able to pronounce words and sounds and things of that nature. So it is very important because it lays that foundation for kindergarten readiness, and it prepares them where when they get to kindergarten, it's not a struggle. They're used to the letters, they're used to the sounds, they're used to the words, they're used to the print on the pages. They know how to sit and listen, know what a story looks like when it's read. So it helps them to be ready for kindergarten.
Sounds like if you want your child to be successful, you need to check out this pre-K opportunity if they fall within that age range. We're visiting with Kristin Peachey. She's a system-wide pre-K consulting teacher in Charlotte Wilson, the school counselor at NOVA PreK. Hey, here's a trivia question as we go to the commercial break, and you can kind of see if you can figure this out by the time we come back. How many pre-K students does JMCSS work with currently? There's your trivia question. You're listening to the JMCSS podcast for the district on JJ 97.7 FM.
Hi, I'm Tad Pohl, host of the Morning Splash on Froggy 104, and a proud JMCSS parent. My wife and I chose Jackson-Madison County Schools for our kids. Brooklyn is an honor roll student who has found an aptitude for art and is also a member of her school choir. And the twins are getting excellent instruction in pre-K and learning valuable social skills. The kids love their schools and their teachers, and we are very proud to be JMCSS parents. Jackson-Madison County School System is a level 5 district and tuition free. It just makes sense.
Hi, I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson-Madison County School System. With an increased focus in the fine arts, athletics, workforce development, and early career opportunities for students, there's never been a better time to choose us. Tuition-free, Jackson-Madison County Schools. Visit jmcss.org today to schedule a tour or call 731-345-7011.
I'm Nixie.
And I'm Annie. And you're watching For the District. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to For the District, the JMCSS podcast on JJ 97.7 FM. I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson-Madison County School System. This morning, I'm joined by Kristin Peachey, the system-wide pre-K consulting teacher, and Charlotte Wilson, school counselor at NOVA PreK. Okay, so Kristin, there are probably some people who heard the trivia question. They've come up with their own answers, so now we need to let them know if they were close. Approximately how many students, as far as pre-K, do we assist, serve, and educate here in JMCSS?
So we serve close to 750 pre-K students in our district. Through 11 schools in our district, we're serving almost 750 students.
All right. And so I know you brought some materials with you, and I was joking, saying, hey, I think you have a call. And if you're listening on the radio, what this item is, it appears to be a plastic toy phone is what it appears to be.
Like a receiver, yeah.
Yes, it looks like a receiver, but it's more than that. Talk about that item there.
So the state gave us some really neat backpacks to hand out to our students. So at our registration events this year, we had a little backpack with some resources inside, some online resources. But we also got to give students a couple of books. These are just examples, but we had some nonfiction and fiction stories.
If you're listening on the radio, that's a National Geographic Kids. It's got I guess it's a snow owl maybe on the cover.
Lots of cool photographs. So
lots of cool photographs.
Real photographs of animals.
Let's see the title of this one.
If you
give a pig a pancake. So fun reading for our youngest learners.
And then we also have some little finger puppets.
Mm-hmm.
So you can tell a story, you can read the story, act it out. So students love those. And then the phone that you were talking about is actually a whisper phone.
Mm-hmm.
And students, when they hold that up to their ear, they can hear themselves read or speak. It focuses that sound so they can really hear if they're pronouncing sounds correctly. And they just love it. It's really engaging for students to hear themselves read. So it is a phone, but a low-tech phone.
Kristin Peachey is a system-wide pre-K consulting teacher. We're also joined by Charlotte Wilson. She's school counselor at NOVA PreK. And I have to say this first semester, I've interviewed a lot of students, a lot of employees, whether it was here in studio on the podcast or visiting schools, visiting football fields and gymnasiums. One of my most favorite interviews this year was at NOVA PreK. And the way it works, usually when I go to interview someone, a day or so in advance, I'll contact the principal, and the principal will contact the teacher. Hey, Greg Hammond's coming by, et cetera, et cetera. So with these being pre-K students, they probably didn't know, I was coming in, but there was a young lady who said something so profound, it just stuck with me for a long time. And so I said, why do you like pre-K? She said, because we get to have fun and we get to learn. And I thought, wow, that's simple. It's something that, the pre-K students see. We try to keep that going throughout a child's education, but when they get into some of the harder, more demanding classes, like your algebra and your sciences, the fun kind of goes away, and it gets more challenging. But I just thought that was so cool that this 4-year-old understood why she was in that classroom. She understood that she was having fun and learning. Charlotte, if you would, talk about what happens every day at NOVA and our other pre-K classes across the district?
Our students come in and they have routines for their schedules. They, they know what to do at every time throughout the day, and it becomes so routine that they could run the classroom. They tell the teacher, "Okay, it's time for us to do this," or they'll start singing the cleanup song, or, so they understand what's expected when they walk into the classroom. But they start out with their breakfast. They, put their backpacks and things away, and then they have a morning song, maybe a story, whole group sessions. They have center time. That's where they're interacting with one another and their peers, and they're learning. Their teachers asking, higher order thinking questions to make them just kind of think through the process of what they're doing. So it's very engaging. They love it. They love it. And we love it as teachers because it is play, but they're getting those developmental concepts and understanding, the different things that they need to learn. And they're showing the growth and development for their age.
Kristin Peachey and Charlotte Wilson joining us on the JMCSS podcast for the district. Kristin, so many people like to talk about, third graders are struggling. So many people like to, hey, what are we going to do about third grade? What are we going to do about third graders? But I think people forget that, if we maybe had more seats in pre-K, we can help those students earlier before they become third graders. In your role, how have you seen early childhood education expand in our district? And, I guess how much more expansion, needs to happen?
Sure. So last year, we were able to apply for additional classes through our voluntary pre-K grant. So we added 2 classes this year, one at Arlington and one at East Elementary. So that opened up 40 more seats for students to be served. So our goal is to continue to grow. We're serving a little over 600 4-year-olds right now, and we know that we need to continue to grow and meet the same number of kindergarten students. So we've got some work to do. We want to continue to grow and build that program. We know our students are entering kindergarten with that readiness, with those readiness skills. We just recently looked at benchmark data for the beginning of the school year in kindergarten, and our students who had the benefit of a pre-K program scored higher. They were ready for kindergarten. So we proved that readiness, and I think that validates our purpose and our reason for doing what we're doing.
Just to reiterate, of course, we opened the school year learning that the academic gains that we've made are starting to move the needle. 12 schools in our school district have been ranked level 5. 4 have been ranked level 4, and so it's the most ever in our school district. So much so, our entire district received a level 5 rating, which in this particular metric is the highest number you can get, and that was given by the state of Tennessee, not us, scoring ourselves. So, and Chris and Charlotte, either you can take this question. When you see the academic growth and success in some of the older grades that happened earlier this year, looking back on last year's growth, how does that make you feel as an early childhood educator when you see that there's growth being made down the line, so to speak?
Well, we like to think that we start that foundation.
Exactly.
We get kids off to a good start, so they're ready for that. We also build that relationship with families, so they feel that partnership with the schools, and we hope that continues. What else, Ms. Charlotte?
Well, it's a great thing because we live in this community, and the goal is to have successful citizens come through our educational system. And to know that we are at a level 5, for our state level, that makes us feel good about who we are as a community as a whole. So when we have the support that we need to give our young students so they can be our future succeeders.
Kristin Peachey is the system-wide pre-K consulting teacher, and Charlotte Wilson is school counselor at NOVA PreK. We'll take one more break, and when we come back, we'll share again those items you need to know as open enrollment for pre-K begins in the spring semester. You're listening to For the District, the JMCSS podcast on JJ 97.7 FM.
Hi, I'm Terica Smith, a local attorney and proud JMCSS graduate, but I'm also a JMCSS parent. We chose Jackson Madison County Schools for educational options that are innovative and challenging. Whether it's the Academic Academy at Northeast or early college and career opportunities at JCM Early College High, JMCSS offers classes and programs that will prepare my son for college and beyond. Plus, JMCSS is a Level 5 district and tuition free. It just makes sense.
Hi, I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson Madison County School System. With an increased focus in the fine arts, athletics, workforce development, and early career opportunities for students, there's never been a better time to choose us. Tuition-free, Jackson Madison County Schools. Visit jmcss.org today to schedule a tour or call 731-345-7011.
Hello, I'm Elias, a star student at Arlington Elementary School. You're watching For the District. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to For the District, the JMCSS podcast on JJ 97.7 FM. We're visiting with Kristin Peachey, the system-wide pre-K consulting teacher, along with Charlotte Wilson. She's school counselor at NOVA PreK. Let's again talk about these important items coming up for parents. Open enrollment for pre-K will open up in March, but there are some documents that they can go ahead and collect in January, so they're not waiting to the last minute. Kristin, tell us about those things that parents can go ahead and start doing to prepare for the March opening.
Okay, so if your child will be 4 by August 15th of 2023, we are looking for their birth certificate. When you come to registration, we'll need you to bring a birth certificate, a shot record and physical that's on the state of Tennessee form. So it's got a signature at the top for the physical, and it shows that has been completed within a year of the school start date. Okay. We also need 3 proofs of residence that they live in Madison County. That can be mail that you receive that has the parent's name and address on it. And then we also need proof of income.
Early childhood education is very important because, if you want your child to have success in the 3rd grade, in the 4th grade, in the 5th grade, pre-K sets that foundation for a student. Charlotte, when you think about the students this year who are at NOVA, and, when May comes around, they're graduating from pre-K. They're going off into the elementary schools. When you think about what they're learning now, what are those items that you hope they remember most and take with them as they prepare to leave pre-K and go off into the big world of elementary school?
I would say interacting with others, learning how to be polite, learning how to share, take turns, wait their, turn, listening, following directions, paying attention, things of that nature that they're going to need as they go on to our other schools to be successful. The kindergarten readiness skills as far as the letter sounds, the numbers, the words, the different things that they're learning, they're going to need those things to be successful as they continue their educational journey.
Now remember, if you have a 4-year-old or if you have a relative with a 4-year-old, be sure to share this information, as early childhood education is one of those things that as a district and as a community, we want to make sure that everyone knows about and that all of our neighbors are taking advantage of. Remember, open enrollment for pre-K begins in March. 11 schools offer pre-K. And then, Kristin, one more time, when a family or a parent fills out this pre-K application, they'll have an opportunity to pick their first or second choice for pre-K locations. Talk about that again.
Yes. So on March 1st, you'll see a link on the JMCSS website, and you'll be able to start the application process. Parents will be able to choose their first, second, and third choice for schools. And after documents are brought in, after those document intake events, we mark applications completed, and then we run the lottery. We'll notify parents via email on which school placement that they were given or if they were placed on a waiting list, and parents respond to that email and accept their seat.
Awesome. Early childhood education is so important, and we want to thank Kristin Peachey and Charlotte Wilson for joining us on For the District. So, hey, maybe later in the semester you come back and we talk about, I don't know, the books. If you give a pig a pancake. I'll have to read that one. Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to For the District, the JMCSS podcast. We want to remind you that you can listen to this episode and previous episodes on demand on Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. I'm Greg Hammond saying we hope you have a great Sunday, an excellent rest of your weekend, and we will see you next time.